Hello and welcome to the weekly Blackpool FC preview show. I'm Ged Mills, and coming up today, we'll look back on the Seasiders' last two victories over Oxford and Peterborough. Former Blackpool and Plymouth midfielder David Fox gives us an insight on this weekend's opposition. We'll catch up with the thoughts of head coach Neil Critchley, plus Andy Morrell answers some of your questions. Well, making his debut on this week's preview show is this man. We're pleased to welcome Blackpool's number one and captain, Chris Maxwell. Chris, thanks very much for joining us on the preview show. Looking at some of the highlights there, some great saves. Which one for you stands out in that little selection?
I think it would be the MK Dons one. I wasn't very well prior to that game. There was 2 or 3 days, including the day of the game, where it was a bit touch and go whether I was going to play. But thankfully I got through the game. I was available to play. Clean sheet, 3 points, and to contribute in the way that I did is, it was a relief.
Yes, some big saves, I say, with feet, hand. Is it all reaction stuff, or is there a sort of technique? Is there a skill to being a goalkeeper? And don't take that in the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? But is it all reaction, or what is it?
I think it's just years and years of training. Obviously, I've been a goalkeeper since I was 9 years old, and you have that sort of instinct when you're a kid, and various coaches along the way that just add to that and gives you the tools to make those types of saves. But it's going really well at the moment. My relationship with Steve Banks at the club is top notch. I'm really enjoying work with him. He's a great guy, and we bounce off each other really well, so it's great to be playing well and contributing to the team that I am doing, and long may it continue.
Looks like you're in a really happy place here at the moment.
100%. I think I've said it before, it's probably the happiest I've ever been in my career, not just because of how I'm playing or any personal reason, it just feels right. The group of players that we've got, the staff that we've got, the behind the scenes staff, everything from top to bottom is just really good and really warming. And to be able to go out on a Saturday and perform and enjoy your football is something that I maybe took for granted earlier on in my career. And now that I'm in a place that I'm just really happy, and yeah, it's going well. I
remember at the start of the season talking to some of the other players as well, and it was like a big mantra about promotion and stuff like that, and the start just didn't quite maybe get off to where you'd have liked. But did you know there was always going to be, like where we are now, this sort of belief it is starting to come together, starting to win the big games? Did you always know, even after that jittery start?
Yeah, well, the start of the season was difficult. I had the belief within the group and in my teammates and in the staff and the manager that what we were doing was right. Don't get me wrong, it was difficult to hold on to that belief as a group, but we saw it day in, day out. The manager worked tirelessly in terms of how we were on the pitch, both defensively and offensively. And it was about the group gelling together. It's come good, but for me, I don't think that we would be in the place that we are now unless we'd gone through that. I think I used something in the media earlier on in the season. I think you've got to learn how to lose in order to be a better winner. And we know what it's like to go through a bad patch, and we know what it's like to come through that. And I think what epitomises our character and our mentality is the game away at Ipswich. just after New Year. We went down there and we put in, as we all said at the time, both in-house and openly to everyone else, we played poorly and we deserved to get beat. And we moved on from that quite quickly. We learned from it, we drew a line under it, and we moved on. And we've been on a really, really good run since, and we know that if we were to get beat again or that was to happen again, we know how to get ourselves out of it, which is a fantastic tool to have within the group.
Let's look at this week. Well, it's been a great week, hasn't it? You know, 2 wins, 2 big wins as well, Oxford and Peterborough. I think when people were looking at the fixture lists, it was like, these are tough games, these, and one at home as well against Peterborough, where a lot of the games has been draws, not quite got it over the line for the 3 points. How satisfying were 6 points in this week?
Yeah, when you sit here now and reflect on it, they were 2 big wins, but it was no more than we expected. We go into every game and we expect to win, whether that's Peterborough at home or playing West Brom in the FA Cup or Brighton away. We're going into them games to win the games. We're doing really, really well at the moment, and like I've said, we're not done yet. And we've got to make sure that we keep doing what we're doing, understand what we're doing is getting us success, and keep churning out results. And our league position, our form, and whatever comes at the end of the season will be as a result of us doing the fundamentals right.
I think what I noticed from especially the midweek game as well, how tough the season is, but how high that intensity was against Peterborough the other night, and a big win it was as well. Peterborough really didn't have a sniff of a chance, but how impressive has it been, the squad rotation. Everybody seems to have a job to do. Like I say, there seems to be just this real togetherness.
Yeah, and you talk about the rotation side of things. That goes back to the point of we all know each other's jobs. So I think somebody said today that it was our 9th partnership in centre of defence, and that's a credit to the players that have come in. Every single player knows what to do. Every single player is ready and wanting to play. But also when the players aren't in the team, they're supporting the teammates. And believe it or not, that doesn't happen often. I've been in dressing rooms where if players aren't in the team, they're wanting the team to do poorly so they can play. And it does feel very different here, and it feels very different within this group. And I said it early in the season that there is a real togetherness here, and we all want the same thing. We're all singing off the same hymn sheet, and we're desperate to be successful. But that's not to say that we come away from what we're doing, because what we're doing at the moment is working, and we need to make sure that we continue that.
Tell us about how you're enjoying your time here as well. I think it's 19 clean sheets, is it, so far? I mean, as a goalkeeper, you know, going back over the seasons as a professional, this must be, you know, looking good for you. I know we're at the end of the season, but you must be thinking, yeah, I'm doing all right here.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get clean sheets, and it's nice to be a part of a team where we get clean sheets consistently. But also, I think for me, I'd rather us get 3 points and win the game 5-4 every week than me get clean sheets. Football's a team game. Individual accolades do come about, but it's all about the team. And as long as we get 3 points, it doesn't matter to me whether we get clean sheets or not. That's just an added bonus, and it's one of them things. I
suppose goals as well. I mean, it's not just one person scoring all the goals. We'll come on to Jerry Yates, but Dan Ballard, Luke Garbutt as well. I mean, another great strike midweek for him. And that must be, again, pleasing for the team that you're not relying on that one person.
Yeah, and you talk about Garbs there with his goal. I was about to go mad with him for playing the ball short. I said to him after the game that I wasn't happy with him playing it short, and lo and behold, he scored. So I shut my mouth and walked back to my goal and just kept quiet. But yeah, it's a fantastic strike. We've got brilliant quality throughout the team, and the set piece takers that we've got within the team are doing well for us at the moment, but also to have the likes of Dan Ballard and obviously Jordan Thornley contributing to, I think it was the penalty, is excellent. Everybody's got to chip in, everybody's got to do their bit, and everyone's got to play for the team. And
Jerry Yates, as you say, going up that goal scoring table as well, and it's his work rate that stands out for me. He's all over the pitch. He must be a nightmare, for defenders as well. What's he like in training? Is he that intense in training as well, or does he have to chill out to have that sort of intensity on the pitch when it comes to match day?
On and off the field, I don't think he's any less. He's a great guy, Jerry, and he's a real character within our group. He's learning every day, and his work rate is second to none. He's led the line for us very well recently, and it's the things that you don't necessarily see and stand out for you is the things I like. The amount of runs he makes for players, and he might not get the ball 9 times out of 10, but that one time he gets us up the field, and his positional play in terms of our press and how he sets us off and the intensity he presses at is excellent. He's playing really well at the moment. He's doing well for us this season. Hopefully he continues that and keeps doing what he's doing.
Next up for the Seasiders is a home game against Plymouth Argyle this weekend. One man who knows both clubs well is David Fox. Now working at Huddersfield Town, he's on co-commentary duties for the visitors this weekend, and he's looking forward to returning to Bloomfield Road.
Really looking forward to it. I went back a few times as a player. Always enjoyed it. Like you say, it'd be difficult with no fans as well, especially with the way Blackpool's going at the minute. The place will be bouncing with the run they're on. So yeah, it'll be a shame there's no fans, but it's always nice to go back. I do enjoy my trips back to Blackpool.
Working as a co-commentator for Plymouth, in terms of what you've seen from them, you've been impressed since they've stepped up back into the division? Yeah,
I have. Yeah, they play a style of football that they played in League Two last year that got them promoted. They're pretty set in their structure, the formation, and the way they try and play. They'll play out from the back. They'll play with a couple of strikers, and they look to cause problems. The games are normally very open. It's normally plenty of goals, and from what I've seen as well. So, yeah, they've done well. They've established themselves in the league. I think there was maybe a sniff of the playoffs earlier on in the season. Went on a bit of a tough run. So, yeah, I think they'll be fine this season, and they'll look to kick on again next season.
Big result against Bristol Rovers last weekend, so that'll give them plenty of confidence coming to Bloomfield Road.
Yeah, well, I think they're on a little bit of a sticky run, but they've got wins in them. They beat Sunderland away not so long ago. So yeah, they've got big results in them. They'll give anyone a game. Definitely with the way they play, they'll make it difficult. I was at the Doncaster game a few weeks ago where they just narrowly got beat, but they played well. So yeah, it'll be a tough game. It'll be a tough game for Blackpool, and also with the run Blackpool are on, it'll be a difficult one for Plymouth as well.
Who's impressed you most this season from a Plymouth perspective?
They've got some really interesting players. They've got some very talented young players, as well as a little bit of experience. I think Danny Mayer probably stands out in terms of his ability to beat people 1v1. He can go past people. He's really important the way they play. But they've got some very good young players. The goalkeeper Michael Cooper, he was there when I was there, coming through. Luke Jeffcott was the same. He's bagged a lot of goals. Niall Ennis was a striker at Wolves that is quite interesting as well. They've got some. They've recruited really well in the summer. They've got a couple of lads on loan that are doing well, and they're a very young team, but there's plenty of ability in there as well.
How have you found adapting to retirement these days?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been a bit weird with lockdown as well. When you retire, you think you're going to be able to go and do stuff, and you've got that little bit more freedom now to go and see people and get about and do stuff, but it's just not been the case. So it's difficult. I still get the buzz off watching lads and playing in the loan players that we have at Huddersfield, and I enjoy watching them play in the games. I'm fortunate I can still get into games and watch them. So not playing football it's obviously it's tough, it's difficult because you miss it a lot. But it helps that I'm still able to go and watch football, and I'm lucky enough that I get to commentate on it as well sometimes. So I'm fortunate I can still get in and be a little bit part of the game as well.
How do you look back on your career now? I mean, the most appearances you had were with Plymouth and then Blackpool, and you've got several promotions as well.
Yeah,
some medals in the cabinet.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I think every league I got promoted out of, which was quite nice. I look back, I'm very proud of it. I played till I was 35 and a half. I think I'd like to have played another year or two longer, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. I enjoyed. I think Plymouth, I played a lot just towards the end, which I'm, like you said, probably made more appearances for them than anyone. I think played pretty much every week for 3 years, which I really enjoyed. I look back fondly. I think the most times I spent at clubs were Blackpool, Norwich, and Plymouth, and I managed to get promotion with all of them. So, yeah, it was good. They were the times you remember, the promotions, and obviously I was very fortunate that in my first full season at Blackpool we went up from League One, and I still speak to a lot of the lads now. I think that when you look back at your career, I think they're the moments you remember, is them promotions and sort of the camaraderie you had with the lads in them teams.
And you touched on what you're doing now a little bit earlier. We can see that Huddersfield Town badge. Just explain a bit more about that role.
I'm the loans manager at Huddersfield, the academy loans manager, and also do a bit of academy recruitment as well. So I work with the team there, and I go look after the loan players when they're out on loan, keep in contact with them, go and watch the games, report back on their games, and also try and look for opportunities to get other lads out on loan. So obviously, being in the game for that long, you get relationships with people, and you try and use those contacts to hopefully get players out on loan to aid their development. And it's something I really enjoy. I enjoy when they're playing. I enjoy when they're not playing, because it's difficult. I was someone that went out, had a couple of loan spells myself when I was younger as well. So I sort of know what these lads are going through, and I at the time I didn't have any, no one really took notice of me when I was on loan. You sort of just left to get on with it, which is not bad, but also I think it's good to know that the club are interested, the club is still watching what you're doing. They've got someone they can talk to about football. I really enjoy it. It's different. It gives me, like I said earlier, it gives me a good chance to go and watch games and keep myself involved, which I enjoy.
That was David Fox there talking about this weekend's opponents. Chris, well, talking about Plymouth, first game of the season, probably one of the most frustrating games I've watched. The amount of chances, how on top Blackpool were, just didn't happen. But was that a result of just all the new players coming in, and how frustrating was it to play in that game?
Yeah, I think from what I remember, the performance was excellent from the team. I think we started slowly though for the first 10-15 minutes when they scored. But for me, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for that game. We just come off the back of a fantastic pre-season, playing against some top opposition, Liverpool, Everton, and we performed very, very well. So I think the expectation that we put on ourselves was that we were going to win every game. We were going to be a team that was going to win the league. I think we were quite naive in thinking that, and that was the start of obviously our poor run. But at the same time, we came through that, and we can look back on that game now and realise how far we've actually come from that first game. The way we play now is chalk and cheese in comparison to that first game, and to think that we performed so well in that game and didn't get at least a draw was disappointing. But for us now as a group, we'll be looking towards that on Saturday and saying we need to go and beat them.
Well, here is Blackpool head coach Neil Critchley sharing his thoughts ahead of Saturday's game.
Plymouth will pick up because of the players they've got and the manager they've got and how they're coached, and so it didn't surprise me that they responded and beat Bristol Rovers last week, because Plymouth, like a lot of the teams in this division, have got players who can win games of football, and they could easily go on a run of winning games. So we know we're in for a really tough game. We're in good form, we're at home, and hopefully we'll play well enough, because we'll have to play well if we want that to pick up 3 points in our run to continue.
I know you mentioned in midweek psychologically the boost of going sixth in the table. Was it a bigger boost the fact that you got back to winning ways at home?
Yeah, probably was. Yeah, I think we've been frustrated recently with coming off the pitch having not won. There was a big disappointment in the dressing room after the Wimbledon game, obviously when we conceded in the 92nd minute, I think it was, to draw that game. That felt like a defeat. And then we felt like we'd done enough to beat both Fleetwood and Burton. So when you're drawing them games, you always have that feeling of, what if? We actually performed, especially against Fleetwood, not so much against Burton early on, but we done enough in those games to win. We just didn't score when we're in the ascendancy, which is what we did against Peterborough. So it was nice to get back to winning ways at home. It would have been even better if the supporters would have been there for us. It would have been an incredible atmosphere.
Neil Critchley there ahead of Plymouth this weekend. Chris, what's Neil Critchley been like as a head coach at Blackpool? First time you've worked with him?
Yeah, I think he's a top guy, first and foremost, and it's not often you can say that about managers. He's very approachable. I think every single one of the players can honestly say that he's been very honest with everybody of what he expects from us as a group and individually. But also his work ethic is second to none. You can see it on the pitch on a Saturday, how organised we are, how disciplined we are, how we perform is not just by luck or chance. It's from hours and hours and hours of endless drills on the training field since the start of pre-season, and then on top of that, he'll obviously work behind the scenes and prepping our sessions as well. So I think the way he's done things has been completely different to everything that I've experienced. I go back to a conversation with Gary Medina in pre-season, and we had the conversation of, we've been taught how to play football wrong for the whole of our careers, and that's a credit to the manager. We're so well disciplined, and we know exactly what to do and exactly what each individual job is, and that's credit to the manager.
What do you mean by that? Because you've been taught wrong how to play football for your career. What do you mean? Has he come in and just ripped up the rule book, what you get taught as a 6-year-old in junior football, and gone, that's completely not the way we do it, and how is the right way of doing it? If you can divulge that information.
Without trying to give secrets away or giving the game away, I think a general manager of a football club would be, you come in on a Monday, you'd do a bit of passing, and then you'd do a 5-a-side, and that would sort of be the theme of the week, really, and then maybe a bit of set pieces on a Friday going into the game. But it's completely different to that. We don't do that. Everything that we do is based around who we're playing and based around how we're going to play on the Saturday. So each week is different. There's little tweaks here and there of formation and types of shape and things like that. So it's excellent, and all the things that I imagine he's brought from Liverpool and his experience from his other coaching roles at other clubs is being passed down to us, which is a pleasure to be a part of, and something that I think we're all really enjoying.
Well, finally, having heard from one of Blackpool's 2007 promotion winners earlier, it's now time to hear from another. This week, we asked you to send in your questions to Andy Morrell, and here he is answering some of the best ones.
Andy, thanks for joining us. As you know, fans this week have been sending in their questions. Are you ready to answer them?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Lee asks, how much did you enjoy your time at Bloomfield Road?
I really did. And I know all players will say that, but I haven't had a better dressing room anywhere. The lads that we had at that time, the changing room was the best by miles. And I looking back and reflecting on it, you put it down to, I think everybody had to move to go and sign for Blackpool. If you wanted to do it properly, you couldn't travel from the Midlands. You couldn't travel, you had to move nearer. And then everybody was in the same boat, missus and kids moving or whatever. You were all in the same boat, so you want to make friends. And so we became a really tight group. And I would put the changing room was ace. And that I'd put that down to that reason. And we weren't great the first half of the season, but then we really picked up second half of the season and flew into the playoffs and flew through promotion, didn't we? But it was a brilliant changing rooms, and I remember them fondly. The laughs we had was incredible.
You mentioned that, full of strong characters as well, wasn't it? In terms of being able to drive forward and get the success on the pitch.
Yeah, well, we had Jacko as our captain, but when you've got Evo and Sean Barker and Keith Southern, Ben Burgess, Mark Joseph, do you know what I mean? You've got all these characters and people that are really strong. They all lead right from the front, and whether you've got an armband on or not, they're just right at the forefront of every conversation, everything that goes on off and on the pitch. And the group was ace, and not one person was an idiot. Everybody got on with everybody. And I think it just eventually that showed on the pitch.
Paul asks, what would you say your greatest moment in a tangerine shirt was?
Oh, blimey. My best moment was obviously getting promoted, was getting out of the league. That was my best moment. Individually wise, I would say that was half decent day for me. The semi-final, the little goal I scored with Wes's through ball, and I just nicked it over the top of the keeper. Those two memories stick in my mind really well, just because the way we were playing at that time was sensational. We just going into games thinking we were going to win. But after all the hard effort and the upheaval of moving I moved up there after 3 games, and within 10 more games I wasn't in the team. I was out on the bench, and I'm thinking I've made a bad decision. I've had to move the family and everything. But come the end of the season, when you're lifting a trophy at Wembley, it makes all those distant memories, and it was just a joy.
You mentioned those 4 goals in a game at Swansea. Steve asked, which was your favourite of those?
I'd have to say the volley at the end, wouldn't I? Because it was just one of those things that everything came together. It ends up either outside the ground or in the net, and it just so happened that it ended up in the net, that one. But I really liked the first one of mine. It was a little through ball by Klaus, and I've seen the keeper come in. I've just managed to lift it over him. They're the types of goals that I scored all the time. Those ones were through on goal and stuff. But you think in that game, Keegan hit 2 absolute worldies, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? For a 25-yarder, him, and I get all the plaudits for scoring 4, but he hit 2 brilliant goals as well. But that game was just set, wasn't it? We had to win with a chance to go up automatic. Swansea had to win, and it just fell that a 6-3 thriller was the best outcome for us, wasn't it? Anyway,
that special chip at Swansea, Joe Hart takes a bit of credit for that. Christian would like to know how good was Joe Hart during his loan spell, and did he train with the team often?
Yeah. Well, when you go on loan, when you're that age, you're in with the team, and that's it. You don't go back and train with your team. You get sent on loan and you're there. And he just got involved in the group. He was still a really young kid, but what a keeper. Never liked being scored on in training. And then I think away at Cheltenham, he pretty much got us the win in that strong run of 10 games that we had. He was brilliant. He made some great saves, and he could ping it. That was really early on when keepers started to use their feet more, and he was able to do it comfortably. And he just put it on a sixpence for me, didn't he? But he was a class act, and a really good positive mental attitude to it, and a strong-minded kid. And it was no surprise that he went on and did relatively well in the game, didn't he, for himself?
The next one is from Phil, and he says, who was the best strike partner you played with during your time at Blackpool?
You see, this is a funny one, because normally you'd have a really good relationship with one player, and I have to say that I enjoyed playing with them all. And because I was just that little bit older than the others that came in, I was able to sort of adapt a little bit my game to them. Like Keegan was the quick one running behind, didn't he? And I had to sort of make myself into a sort of a 10, I suppose. I'd drop deeper, a link play with Wes and stuff, and then Keegan would run in behind and I'd leave him to do his job. But when you play with Ben Burgess or Scott Vernon, you've got to change your game a little bit again, and you're trying to get pick-up balls and second balls off them and trying to play that way. So I was able to adapt a little bit, which sort of for that last 20, 25 games of that season, it helped lots because he was able to play me with any of them and we seemed to do all right. And it was good for me because I got to play with all of them and it wasn't me that was getting dropped.
And just finally, we've got Chris Maxwell with us in the studio. He's obviously somebody you know well from playing and coaching.
Yeah, Maxie. Yeah, I had him as a really young kid at Wrexham, and he left us, and then I brought him back after he wasn't playing too many games for Fleetwood, and he had a brilliant little spell for us at his second time and winning the trophy with us, and I'm just missing out on promotion. And yeah, fabulous kid, really, really driven, ambitious as well, and yeah, more importantly, a great lad. You know what I mean? And a good keeper, you know what I mean? What a great shot stopper, good with his feet, you know, and I think he's done brilliantly. He's had a really good career.
Well, that was Andy Morrell there, talking of his time at Blackpool, and of course, some nice words about you as well. You not only was managed by him, but you played with him in his final stage of his career, in your start of the career. What was he like on the field?
A role model. He was a top pro. He worked so hard, not just on the pitch but off it as well, and he was somebody that I looked up to. Coming through the youth system at Wrexham, Andy was well established within the first team at Wrexham before I think he moved to Coventry, I think, and he was always somebody that I was in awe of in terms of his ability and his contribution to the team. And to actually play with him when he had his second spell at Wrexham was a privilege, and I learned a hell of a lot from him. And then when he became a manager or player manager at the time, he was the same guy, but also he had excellent leadership skills, which I think we got into the playoff semi-finals and unfortunately lost, and then I left that summer and he allowed me to move on to go to Fleetwood, which is something that I'll always be thankful for, because he could have kept me there, and I think it was under the rule, if they offered you a contract of the same or more, then they had to keep you, and there was no chance of me moving on. So he was brilliant in terms of helping my career move forward. And then not only that, 6 months later he brought me back and we had a great experience in winning the FA Trophy and playing at Wembley, winning a penalty shootout, and then the playoff final as well against Newport. Unfortunately we lost, but it was great times, and it was down to him to bring me back and give me all them experiences, and something that I'll never ever forget.
Yeah, and you don't forget Wembley trips, do you? As well as sort of a little picture up there of a young Chris Maxwell. But again, that must rank highly at the moment in one of your highlights of your career. Yeah,
the FA Trophy was massive, playing in front of 38,000 I think it was at the time, and a fantastic following, and to participate in that and win a trophy was amazing. My only regret was maybe not getting promoted that year, because obviously Wrexham are a massive club and in the conference, and they're still there now, and it's such a shame what's happened to them. But it was a great time there, and all the staff and all the people of that club have made me what I am today, and Andy is a part of that and has contributed to my career, and I'll always be thankful.
Well, Chris, thank you very much for your time today and the best of luck for the weekend. Don't forget that you can watch Saturday's big game against Plymouth live by purchasing a match pass from the club's official website. Thank you very much for watching and see you again next week.